Welcome to The Explainer. I'm so glad you're joining us today because, honestly, we're diving into a topic that's absolutely crucial and, well, totally terrifying. We're unpacking the brutal reality of online job scams that literally end in human trafficking. And look, these aren't scenes from some Hollywood thriller. We're looking at actual documented case files, real people who just clicked on a regular social media ad and ended up trapped in an absolute nightmare across the border. We're going to break down exactly how these sophisticated syndicates operate, how they completely manipulate their victims, and most importantly, how you can spot this trap before it snaps shut.
So, what would you do if you knew a high-paying online job was actually a one-way ticket to hell? It's a super dark question, I know, but it's the exact reality for dozens of victims whose official testimonies we're looking at today. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, I would never fall for that. But as you'll see from these documents, these syndicates, they are master manipulators. They don't just snatch people off the street. No, they invite them. They pay for their travel. They promise them this amazing new life. And by the time the victim actually realizes what's happening, they're already surrounded by high walls, armed guards, and electric batons.
Just listen to this harrowing quote from the case file of a victim named Tassani. She said, "I walked through the dark field crying, realizing I made a mistake. But with armed men around, I couldn't resist." It perfectly captures that exact moment of realization, right? It's literally the frog in boiling water analogy, just playing out in real life. These victims are slowly, methodically manipulated, step by step, until they're literally wading through a pitch-black river into another country, surrounded by guys with guns. They realize the mistake, but by then, the water's boiling. There's no way out.
Okay, let's get into Section 1, the beginning of online job scams.
The whole nightmare always kicks off with a massive bait and switch. These syndicates lure people in through Facebook groups or TikTok, and they specifically target financial insecurities. The pitch is always kind of the same, right? It's some easy admin role, maybe replying to chats, sitting in an air-conditioned room. The pay? A very tempting 20 to 25,000 Thai baht a month, plus free meals. And they absolutely insist the whole thing is completely legal. But the hidden reality? It's a scam center. We're talking forced labor, physical abuse, and total captivity.
Now, according to the source documents, the red flags pop up almost immediately. But the biggest one, the one that really stands out in cases like a 24-year-old named Toy and a 34-year-old named Oithip, is this super weird demand about bank accounts. Before they even packed a single bag, recruiters demanded they open multiple new bank accounts, sometimes up to 5 of them. They claim it's for salary transfers, but in reality, the syndicates are setting these victims up to become unwitting money mules before they even leave their hometown.
Moving on to Section 2, illegal border crossing routes.
So once those bank accounts are opened, this totally mundane trip suddenly turns terrifying. It is a systematic escalation of terror. At 8 p.m., victims are picked up in a normal passenger van. It feels, completely standard. But then, hit midnight, and they're transferred to a pickup truck and forced to lie completely flat in the back so nobody can see them. By 3 a.m., they're literally dumped in remote cornfields and handed over to armed smugglers. And by 5 a.m., they are wading chest-deep across a border river into Cambodia. Over the course of just one night, they are completely stripped of their agency, isolated, and pushed way past the point of no return.
No lights, no phones. Walk in the dark. That is the terrifying rule enforced by these armed smugglers the second they hit the wilderness. The source documents show that victims are forced into absolute silence. If they even try to use their phones for a flashlight or, God forbid, call for help, they are immediately threatened with machetes and guns. It's this brutal psychological breaking point where the victims realize, oh my God, I'm no longer a job applicant. I'm a hostage.
Right, let's look at Section 3, document seizure and detention.
Now, you probably think they'd be put straight to work, right? But these syndicates operate like these dark, twisted corporate entities. They have a very specific, methodical onboarding process that's entirely designed to steal identities. Step 1, confiscate the ID card and the smartphone. Step 2, demand every single passcode. Step 3, and this is the absolute kicker, they force victims to perform facial scans to unlock their banking apps and crank up those transfer limits. Finally, step 4, lock them in a heavily guarded compound. See, they don't just want physical labor. They are completely hijacking the victims' digital identities to launder millions of dollars from other scams.
6. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the staggering number of different banking and financial apps a single victim might be forced to unlock.
They're basically paraded into a room, sat in front of a phone, and forced to scan their face over and over again across up to 6 different platforms, unlocking massive transaction limits. It literally turns the victim into an unwitting international criminal. And that makes it incredibly terrifying for them to ever go to the police, because now their own name is tied to massive international fraud.
Which brings us to Section 4, Experience from Hell.
Once those compound doors close, it is a literal living hell. Just look at the chilling reality faced by a victim named Ananong. When she arrived and finally realized it was a scam center, she flat out refused to work. The syndicate's response? Brutal extortion. They demanded 100,000 baht for her freedom, and when she obviously couldn't pay it, they forced her into an incredibly violent, horrific alternative: prostitution. It just goes to show these syndicates view human beings as nothing more than commodities. If you won't make the money by scamming, they're going to extract value from you in other, much more devastating ways.
And for those who are forced onto the actual scam floors, the daily routine is just relentless psychological and physical torture. We're talking 15-hour shifts, usually from 9 a.m. to midnight. They're handed scripts and forced to create fake profiles for romance scams or bogus investment platforms. And if they fail to meet their quotas, which, by the way, are often set at tens of thousands of dollars a month, they are beaten, shocked with electric batons, or thrown into solitary dark rooms for days. And all of this is happening behind massive walls patrolled by guys with guns.
Let's really ground those facts for a second with this exact experience from a victim named Jacqueline. He was only 18 years old. When he couldn't meet his scamming targets, they beat him with metal pipes, shocked him, and locked him in a dark room for 10 straight days with literally nothing but rice and fish sauce. This right here is exactly why understanding these documents matters so much. This is the severe human cost behind every annoying spam text or fake social media profile you scroll past. It's built on the terror of people like an 18-year-old kid who was just trying to make a living.
All right, let's talk about Section 5, How to Prevent Becoming a Victim.
So, how do we actually stop this before it's too late? Seriously, take a mental screenshot of this checklist. You have to memorize these early warning signs. If a job offers a too-good-to-be-true salary for super basic admin work, huge red flag. If a recruiter you've never even met offers to cover your flights, vans, and hotels, walk away. If they ask you to open a new bank account before your first day, it is a scam, full stop. And if the entire interview process happens over text, online, or Telegram with no actual corporate footprint, you are definitely dealing with a syndicate. Spotting these signs is literally the only reliable way to avoid the trap.
I want to be incredibly direct with you on this one. This is the absolute line in the sand. Never, under any circumstances, hand over your ID card, your passport, your physical phone, or your passwords to a recruiter, a driver, or a security guard. The source documents make it crystal clear. The exact second you surrender your documents and your digital access is the exact second the trap snaps completely shut. I really want to leave you with this final thought. The allure of quick, easy money is super powerful, right? Especially when times are really tough. But ask yourself, is an easy job really worth trading your freedom? Is it worth your life? The victims in these source documents, they genuinely thought they were just seizing a great opportunity. We put this explainer together to make sure their horrific experiences can serve as a massive warning to the rest of us. So please, share this information with your friends, your family, basically anyone looking for work online right now. Stay vigilant, stay skeptical, and please keep yourselves safe out there. Thanks so much for learning with us today.